Hi, Dr. Mark here for Natural Health. Hope you're having a great day. Tonight we're going to talk about pain and inflammation. I'm going to start talking about the nutritional aspects of that, some of the foods and things. Hopefully people realize that inflammation is a natural thing that we need to have. That's the body healing itself. We had some pretty good discussions today. I had a discussion about flu vaccine and things like that. And so when people get that, they get inflammation. Well, that's the body trying to deal with things. You have to have that inflammation for the body to be able to heal itself. Now the problem it comes into with inflammation, that the body can't get over it. It kind of gets stuck in that reflex. So again, a little history of what we're doing here at Natural Health with the chiropractic work, with nutritional work, is helping people reduce the inflammation over the years and years. Already 38 years we've been here. So we've seen a lot of inflammation over the years here, and so it's important to realize that. Now, a couple of things we do on our nutrition side too is we have special supplements that we use to help the body get over inflammation. So a thing that people look at is, if they get inflammation, they get pain, well, they're taking the like ibuprofen, some of the anti-inflammatory things to get over it, but that doesn't help the problem, and that's what drives a lot of arthritis. When you stop the body from healing, use an anti-inflammatory like ibuprofen, Tylenol, the steroids, all those things to stop inflammation. But you haven't looked at why is the inflammation still there. So again, as part of our philosophy here at Natural Health is figuring out underlying causes. Why are the underlying causes there? So I want to start with a few simple things tonight, and then if you're interested, come in for a nutrition response testing exam, chiropractic exam, energy coaching, whatever you need to get your body working correctly so it can heal itself, so that you're not constantly fighting inflammation all the time. And inflammation is a big word, of course. It just means about anything people have that causes pain. Whether you bumped your knee and you have inflammation, or your bowels are upset with inflammation, you have IBS. I mean, it's a wide range of problems that is underlying. Inflammation is the underlying problem, but why is it there? That question is never usually asked. So we'll get into our inflammation-fighting foods. Give you a quick little overview of this. So the first one, fermented foods. And again, we're talking about IBS, leaky gut syndrome, those kind of things where the gut is inflamed. A lot of times their probiotics are out of balance. That has to do with a lot of things that we take care of here at Natural Health. pH is one, for example. If the person's eating a lot of processed foods, their bowel kind of goes basic. It allows for more bugs. Well, the fermented foods have the good bugs there, and your body has to have the good bugs for the bowel to settle down so it can work correctly. So fermented foods are really good sources of lots of healing things, because not only do they help the bowel to settle down, but they're actually helping the body to digest and absorb certain vitamins and things that help the body heal up. So very important to have the healing foods, fermented foods there. And a simple one like sauerkraut, you can use all kind of other things, but sauerkraut is a very simple one there that almost anybody can get a hold of, and most people like pretty well. Broccoli, vitamin C and calcium. So broccoli is just an all-around good vegetable to get a hold of. So it has just so many good things with it. Of course, vitamin C is the big one, a big one, and we're looking again at vitamin C complex. When you talk about vitamin C as a complex in foods, that's different than ascorbic acid. And unfortunately, the FDA has allowed these definitions to cause people to get confused. Vitamin C from food is so much more absorbed and utilized in a whole food system than it is when you take it as ascorbic acid, 1,000 milligram tablet that your bowel just it goes right on through. Now again, it has a good value. Your ascorbic acid is an acid, it acidifies the bowel, working on the same problems of fermented foods we talked about, but not a healing vitamin C that you get as a vitamin C complex. Calcium also is very healing for a lot of tissues in the body, very calming. And it's also found, of course, in broccoli too. So you don't have to drink milk or use soft dairy that is very inflammatory to a lot of people. A lot of people can't digest it. It's inflammatory, so you can get calcium in other sources. And again, a whole food calcium is a much easier to absorb type of calcium for the body than calcium carbonate that you find in the supplements that people take and they go right on through. So important to know what's going on with the food and the nutrition you're after. Hemp oil, omega-3 fatty acids. Those hemp oil, and to realize that is not CBD oil. Hemp oil is a different animal and works only on the Th2 receptors of the endocannabinoid system, which is the system that's geared towards these cannabinoids, which are in the other plants. But hemp oil works on only the Th2, which has to do with the inflammation of the body. So a very good source of ways of helping the body to heal and get that inflammation toned down. Omega-3 fatty acids, of course, help with that too. Now, the thing we have to look at is people will go omega-3 fatty acids, oh, let's take a whole bunch of omega-3 fatty acids. Well, that's not how the system works. It works on a balance of 6s and 3s. So again, getting fats as a food source, like olive oil, is a much more important, much more beneficial form of fatty acids than just buying omega-3 fatty acids in a pearl or whatever, or liquid, and just taking that only. That off balances things. You want to work towards balance in the body. And again, the other part that we have problems with the oils is, can you digest it? Can you absorb, emulsify these fats? A lot of people who have congestive livers and gallbladders that don't work cannot absorb fats, cannot digest them and then emulsify or absorb the fats. They don't get the goodie out of them. So really important that you cover that part too when we're looking at it. That's what we do at Natural Health, is figure out how to help the body's immune system and digestive systems to work correctly and in balance so the body is healthy. Really important there. Wild-caught salmon, again, a great source of omega-3 fatty acids, but a good source of proteins as well. So your body has to have proteins to repair itself. So fish, of course, is a great way of doing that, and fish is fairly easy to absorb and digest compared to like red meat. Sometimes people have problems digesting that. So wild-caught salmon, really good place for getting the good omega-3 fats. Tart cherries, 10 times better than aspirin for inflammation. So not that I really like tart cherries, but I wanted to put on there that there are alternatives to aspirin. And again, tart cherries don't work like aspirin. You're not forcing the they're not forcing the body to not have inflammation. They're helping to heal the body to get over the inflammation. Some of our nutritional supplements we use for that purpose are working in a different way. The effect is the same as aspirin, or 10 times better than aspirin, but the process of how it works is altogether different. So any kind of whole food is going to be much better than the manufactured things, pain relievers we have out there. Tart cherries too won't burn a hole in your stomach like aspirin will. So you have to realize these people who are taking aspirin every day are going to have problems with the stomach, with the digestive system, because it's not a food. It's a trouble causer. We'll go into soaked walnuts. Again, some foods are better soaked because it allows the digestion to start there and kind of gets you away from certain problems that come with certain foods. So soaking then just helps the body to be able to absorb those better. They get a lot of good oils, a lot of good nutrients in soaked walnuts. Again, with many other nuts and things too, but walnuts is an especially good one for that. Onions and garlic, again, a lot of good sulfur-containing properties in onion and garlic. The body uses that for the detox in the liver, and just all kind of good things. There's just all kind of good minerals in onions and garlic. I think they're looking at different tastes, just better that way. And you can use it with all kind of things. So just garlic is just good for lots of good things. Spinach, of course, Popeye likes spinach, if you remember who Popeye is. Anyway, a lot of good containing things. Spinach is just another one of those that's a kind of superfood, like all these are. They're just good for all kind of things, and vitamin E, things like that. So, carotenoids, yeah, there's just all kind of good things in spinach. And again, the fiber is also important to help get the bowel to work correctly. Again, the fiber helps to pull toxins out of the body, which again, some of these toxins, antioxidants, inflammatory, very pro-inflammatory. So you're just wanting to get that out of the body, get it to heal up. Let's see, ginger and turmeric. Ginger's been around, of course, forever, used by many countries forever and ever as just a good healing type thing. herb, whatever you want to look at. And turmeric has had a lot of research done lately as an anti-inflammatory. And again, working on getting the body to heal up naturally rather than trying to force the lowering of the inflammation. It's actually helping the body to heal. And of course, I put down on the bottom here, these are this verses is actually in opposition to all the processed foods. Deplete your health over time. So processed foods, the reason that they process them is so they last on the shelves. And of course, the grocery stores love them. They'll last there forever. Somebody gets around to eat them. The problem is when you process it, you take out all the nutrients, all the things that we've just talked about that will help with inflammation. Then the manufacturers know how to use these foods because we have a taste for sugar, salt, and fats. And so they'll put those things in processed foods to get you to buy them and actually have enough of it in there that you actually get hooked on it. So you really like this kind of a thing. So the sugar, of course, highly inflammatory. And I'm talking about processed sugars here. We're never meant to have processed sugar. That's not, you don't find processed sugar in nature. You find there's sugars in certain foods, but it's not all by itself. Not a processed, makes the insulin go high, makes everything inflamed in the body. It's a big problem with cardiovascular disease. And then salt and fats. The salt is always the processed salt, just sodium chloride, not the sea salt, not the good salt, but the processed stuff. So that causes trouble. And then fats are usually the wrong kind of fats. They're not the good all-around wholesome fats, but they're fats that make you taste that, or they're artificial. They have to be mostly artificial or processed, or they'll go bad. So again, processed foods, good thing to stay away from altogether. It comes in plastic, cellophane, a box, a wrapper, it's processed. Just don't eat those things. As you notice, all the other things, they're just natural foods. So that's what you want to do, is really want to work towards getting natural foods in the diet, get away from all the processed junk, drink a lot of water, eat good salt. Those kind of things help the body to heal up. And again, if you have problems with that, that's what you do at Natural Health, is find out the reasons why the body's not healing up. For instance, a big one we find is people that are, probably 99% of the people that come in here have mercury poisoning, mercury toxicity in their body. And that will stop the nervous system from being able to help the body heal itself. So that's what we do, again, is trying to detox the body. So we're here to help Natural Health, and I'm going to turn it over now. Who's next? Dr. Chip is next. He's going to tell you some more good things, and I'll talk to you next week. Have a great evening.
All right, good talk there. Okay, so a lot of good information about food. And again, we'll kind of continue the process here with the inflammation and pain and keep going. So I wanted to talk about too is people really, sometimes they come in the office, they ask, well, they have this condition, they have this condition, they have whatever. And a lot of that comes with, it says itis at the end. Now, itis, again, that just means inflammation of some area. So the definition, again, of inflammation is a localized physical condition in which part of the body becomes reddened, swollen, hot, and painful, especially as a reaction to injury or infection. Now, we typically, or a lot of people typically see inflammation as a bad thing, as something that they acquire or they catch. Now, if you kind of turn your perspective a little bit, and like Dr. Mark explained, is that inflammation is really the body's own reaction to some stress in its environment. So it's actually a good thing that it can actually have the inflammation to heal that area. Again, like you get a cut or you break a bone or anything like that, if you could not get inflammation in that area, then your body cannot heal that area. And so that's why it's important that you need inflammation, so it helps bring the joint kind of to get, like if you break a bone or anything like that, it helps to actually stabilize the area, to bring blood flow and nutrients to the area, so that it cleans out and actually heals. So inflammation is not a bad thing, but if we have chronic inflammation, if we have that over long periods of time, we know that there's some kind of stress that is causing the body that's not able to heal properly. So, again, stress. Why is our body not able to heal? So, there is chronic and acute stress. So acute stress would be something like a physical injury, an impact or a blow, something that's very quick. So that could be like happened last week, yesterday, a couple weeks ago, anything like that. But when there is a chronic stress, that's usually months or years, and that's when a lot of times as people come in the office and they say that they've had this issue for a long time. So there's an issue there. There's something that the body cannot heal or is not able to heal that certain area, and so that inflammation just stays there for long periods of time. And so again, why is it doing that? The body is not able to heal that efficiently, and it's not able to, again, if it was able to be healed, if the area was completely in a good condition, you would say the body wouldn't need inflammation anymore. However, there is some stress that is limiting the body to be able to heal that area. And so there's 3 types of stress. One is trauma from like a physical injury or a repetitive injury or repetitive motion or anything like that. Toxins that can be found in the environment, or you would say is that if you ate, cookies, cakes, and ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I think most people in a common sense standpoint would say that's probably not a good, at least healthy way of eating or lifestyle there. And then thoughts. Many people forget about this one, but we constantly get overtaxed and overloaded with thoughts. And like I've said way back before, but we have in today's world, many people have a very short attention span. We have a hard time focusing and concentrating on some task or anything, and we get way too overstimulated with different things such as social media, the news, everything like that, and so it really scatters our brain and our thoughts. So if we're not really controlling that very well, that's a chronic stress. We're putting way too much of our own energy for our own healing out to different things. So that's 3 different areas of stress. Now again, like we said before, inflammation is kind of seen as something that we get or acquire, but really it's the body's healing response. Now, I put here a balanced brain and body can self-heal and self-regulate. Now the body is always trying to self-heal and self-regulate. It does this constantly. Imagine if you fell, got a cut on your hand, you wouldn't think that cut's gonna last forever. No, after a couple of weeks it's already gone, because the body's always trying to do that. But again, if we have a chronic stress, if you got a cut on your hand and you kept cutting your hand, of course it would heal. That's the same thing with these 3 different stresses that we need to be aware of, that there's some reason why our body is not healing. And so if we limit it or kind of rid that stress, or even see stress as a different angle, if we perceive stress as something that's kind of actually helping us to grow, then that thought process can even change that dynamic too. So again, I want to repeat this. The body is always trying to self-heal and self-regulate. But again, there's different forms of stress that limit that healing response. So what are some good tips that can reduce pain and inflammation and help the body heal? Now, Dr. Mark already pointed out that food is very important for our health and our well-being, and that eating clean food, again, he kind of talked about some certain foods that can help with that inflammation response, or really just help the body have the good nutrients so that it doesn't need that inflammation to heal or keep that area at bay. So good movement. Again, movement is always good for the body. It helps good blood flow. It helps our bodies to actually excrete its waste, but it also helps the brain too. So when we move our bodies, again, the body is just a reflection of what the brain is, so that when we move around, we're helping our brain to slow down and to actually not be focused on so many different things. Again, food and drink. A lot of people really lack just good water intake. Again, I think if we really just did that, that would help a lot of different things. But it's always good for food and good food in general. And then again, going to the last one here, good thinking. And Eddie will kind of talk more about the thought and emotional side next year. But people tend to think not in a good way. They kind of get scared or anything like that. They get this habitual thought process, that can really affect their brains and their bodies. So just think about all the scary things going on, or the fearful things, or people are scared to do anything nowadays because of all what's going on. That can really put a lot of stress on our brains, which again influences our bodies. So that's very hard on our bodies, and that can end up being more of a chronic stress that will limit that self-healing and self-regulating that the body's always doing. And so if we, again, are fearful all the time, if we're worrying or panicked, or we're using all these, you would say, more of a negative emotions, then you're not able to heal properly. So I think that does it for me. I hope you learned a little bit there. Turn it over to Eddie with the emotional pain.
All right, thanks, Dr. Chip. So I'm going to, So I'm going to change it up to a little bit more of the emotional pain, and that pertains of how I look at things, because it's so great to even think about the subconscious mind again, because I think it is so powerful. And you may not be able to see on your screen just because of the beautiful little picture here, but what it's stating here is the conscious mind is 5% of all the thoughts we think on a day-to-day basis. And that's where a lot of the awareness comes in, a lot of the control of where we got our power behind things. But it's the subconscious mind that has 95 to 99% of all the thoughts and emotions to where it's stored. And this subconscious mind is just fascinating. The more and more we dive into this, the more and more I bring this up to you guys as awareness, you very well might see from a different perspective of how powerful this mind is. I mean, this mind has all of your thoughts, your feelings, and emotions stored and experienced from the past. So everything that you've experienced your whole entire life is in this mind. It records everything 24/7. It controls 95% of your life, as we just talked about a little before. It's long-term memory, as well as Chip talked a little bit about it, but it's built on habit. So this mind is very powerful because it can control a lot of the things you do on a day-to-day basis. So our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings are so powerful because, well, it controls everything you're doing. And we're going to put this as it pertains to the emotional pain. This is what Dr. Chip was talking about as well, with thoughts being something that can cause chronic stress long-term over a period of time that we could very well be kept recording every single day, 24/7. And the big thing that we like looking at, I personally love looking at, is our own personal reality or personality. And a big thing, we're looking back at the subconscious mind. A great thing, we go back to how everyone has their own individual personalities, is the way we think. Now, if I have a way that I think that I'm not worthy or I'm a victim of my own life, if I continuously do this over and over and over and over again, that's the subconscious mind. And that is what's going to create my personality. There could be two versions of me right now. There could be one that says, hey, I'm very, very worthy, and I say this and I think this all the time in my mind. And then there's also, I'll go the other way, and there's also an other Eddie that may not think he's very worthy and he's a victim of his life, and everything just happens to me kind of thing. So if we continuously think that, we're gonna make that our own personality think like that. And it goes for the way we feel as well. Feeling is so powerful. Our subconscious mind is full of it. And if we get a good feeling all the time, you can tell when you're around someone that you just feel good around, or someone that you just a little bit less than, doesn't feel very good. So really, a lot of this personality that many people have, it goes to the thinking, it goes to the feeling, as well as the acting. If someone does a lot of these things and they're not thinking or feeling, but they're just acting, they're just doing the things to just make sure we get this all done, well, how are you actually thinking during this action? How are you feeling? What's your personality, what's your persona of when you're doing that type of action throughout the day-to-day basis? Because if I was going to evaluate someone and I understood if I'm going to evaluate their personality, I would kind of do a check mark through these little guys to really get that full understanding of who that person actually is, not just by how they feel, not just by how they think, and not just by how they act, but all together it brings in a very big picture. Because I always go back to it, because it's a very good science that's coming back up and it's getting people to understand this, but it's quantum physics. And quantum physics, I'm not going to break it down into like the the very, very basics of things, but really when it comes down to it, is everything is energy, and we have to go by the being of things. So we have to be the person to resonate or send out the energy to allow to receive of what is going on in the life. So if we go back to the personality, and if we're being as this person of thinking, feeling, and acting of someone that's maybe scared, maybe is worried, maybe is shy, or maybe is anxious all the time, or depressed, if we're being this person, this is working on the realms of the quantum energy, and everything is energy. So if you're being this person of a certain kind of vibration or any type of personality, then that's going to be bringing things into your life that'll resonate with who you are being. So a big point with this is, if I was going to have, emotionally pain to get rid of my life, I would want to be someone that may not have emotional pain. Maybe thinking that, okay, I'm not a victim of my life, but I'm going to learn from what happened in the past. I'm not going to feel sad. I'm going to feel happy that I was able to get that experience of what I've had in the past, so I can learn from that to be who I am now. And I can act, happy. I can act confident, fulfilled in that sense. So the being is very important when it comes to the think, feel, and acting, to make sure we get that whole combination of that actual personality that every individual person has. And that goes straight back to the subconscious mind. If I continuously think positively, act positively, feel positively, I'm going to be storing a lot of those things in my subconscious mind over and over and over again. If I make that a habit, that's who I'm being, okay? So I got a little bit of that. So that's all I had for the night. Tomorrow or next week, we're going to be going over maybe Q&As, anything, but we're also might be tying that with the actual chiropractic science behind things. So we might go a little bit more, might be Dr. Chip talking a little bit more in depth of those things. But we can also find us. Let us know what you think. Give us some feedback, how we're doing with a lot of these health shops, or our social media. On Instagram and Facebook, we're at Natural Health Quincy IL, and at YouTube and Bradion, we'll have all these health shops here for you, recorded, ready to go. If you ever want to go back to any of these, please utilize that. And that's at YouTube and Bradion. And you can always schedule an appointment with us. Our number is 217-228-2040, and we're at 20 in Jefferson, or 2000 Jefferson, Quincy, Illinois, 62301. Thank you so much. Have a great day.